Hey, Rodney, thanks for taking the time today. We'll get started here with Jeff and then Dan.
Okay.
Hey, Rodney, what's up?
Hey, what's going on?
Nothing much, man. Obviously, you guys didn't cancel practice today. How much did you want to see potentially practice being canceled? Was that on your mind as maybe you heard before you hit the field other teams doing so and what happened in the NBA last night as well as, Major League Baseball?
Yeah, I think it's been a topic of conversation over the past 24 hours as you see, the NBA taking action and taking steps and demonstrating that, you know, even though we play this sport, we are still human beings. And, our brothers and sisters, particularly in the African American community, are being hurt or being killed at an alarming rate. And, another incident has taken place. And so now we have to take sports and move it to the side and understand and address the situation at hand. And so for us as an Eagles organization, we saw Detroit exemplify that as they removed themselves from practice and did a press conference speaking out about the issue at hand. And I think it was something that we did consider, but what's most important is that we want real action to take place, right? And so just canceling the practice and telling everyone to go home isn't the message that we wanted to send because what are we now going to do with that time? How are we going to fill that time with something impactful and something that's going to make a difference? And that's what we, use some of the time earlier to decide as leaders. And we have an action plan that we will put in place moving forward. And so I'm excited about that. I don't want to, reveal what that is just yet, but there were conversations had amongst us leaders, and we will represent this organization, but most importantly, this city in the right way and address the issues that a lot in this country, and that's police brutality, education reform, systemic racism. All of those things matter to us, and so we will speak out on those.
Thank you.
Dave and then Tim McManus.
Hey, Rod, was that action plan something that was come up with last night? And in addition to that, what were those conversations like last night? What was your message to your teammates?
Yeah, so it probably stemmed from last night. Doug gave us the opportunity, an open mic forum where guys were able to speak up, and I was one of those guys that spoke out to the team, and my message was, we get caught up playing this sport that we're fortunate enough to play, but we do get confined with these walls in this fantasy world, I guess you would call it, and we're kind of removed from the harsh realities that do exist as black men, and majority of our league is representative of black men. And so, believe it or not, when we walk outside these doors without this jersey on, without this shield, without these cliques, we're seen as the same as a Jacob Blake or a George Floyd. When we're in our cars or we coming across, a police officer, that fear still exists for us, and it's real. And it was a candid conversation that that was had, and I wanted to get that message across. And the fact that us as black men, man, we're fortunate enough to have this platform, fortunate enough to where we're able to touch so many people, but be the voices of our communities. They're being impacted because that could have well been our brother, our sister, our children, our mom or dad. Let's just be real. And so that was just what I wanted to get across. And more importantly, what are we going to do as an organization? How are we going to represent this city and be an example potentially for this country to follow?
We'll go Tim and then Les.
Hey, Rodney, the walkouts by the NBA yesterday was on the 4-year anniversary of Colin Kaepernick protesting. Wondering what kind of thoughts you have about, the way that the NFL has responded, to date, and what the leaders of the NFL need to do to support you guys.
Yeah, in the incident of the George Floyd case and Breonna Taylor, there was a lot of traction. There was a lot of conversations had. I believe everyone was on board to move the needle. In the recent month or two, I feel like it's become somewhat of an afterthought, I would say. You know, there hasn't been much push, I believe. And I think us as NFL players, the challenge is now on these owners. We want them to speak out on a lot of these issues that exist for their players, just as much as we're held accountable and we represent each organization a certain way when we leave this building. We expect them to now stand up and speak out on these issues to protect us as Black men. And I think that is the message that we as players should really enforce, is that these owners come together and not only support us privately, but step up and support us publicly as well, as we're dealing with a lot of these issues that exist right now. We got to hold these police officers to a certain standard, hold them accountable, and until then, we will continue to protest, continue to use our voice, and continue to possibly take extreme measures. You're witnessing that right now. When have we ever seen, a group of athletes decide not to play a playoff meaningful game? And that shows you the magnitude of this situation, that people are fed up and enough is enough.
Les, and then Daniel Gallen.
Hey, Rodney. A minute ago, you referenced both Breonna Taylor and George Floyd. Does it seem like this keeps happening over and over again, and these conversations keep happening, and people keep talking about awareness, and nothing ever changes? Maybe in a way.
That I think, in a sense, there has been a lot of good made. Do not misunderstand that. There has been a lot of positives. A lot of light has been shone on these situations. We've moving the needle, but I think it's important to continue the messaging. We have to have that same sense of urgency that we had 4 or 5 months ago, because that's what it's going to take. It's going to take all of us to continue to take real action each and every day. We can't save the world, but we can all do our part to help make this world maybe 1% better. And I think if we each take on that responsibility, we'll make this world a better place.
Thank you.
Daniel and John McMullen.
Hey, Rodney. Yesterday, you said that in terms of recruiting guys to the Social Justice Committee, that there were a lot more guys that were interested based off of kind of the events of the summer and anything. When you look back at over the past 4 years, going from those peaceful protests in 2016 to, playoff games getting canceled, how have you kind of seen the attitudes of your teammates, especially white teammates, change about all of this?
Yeah, and I think that's the good I was just speaking about. I think COVID has done something special to the world. It's allowed the world to be at a standstill, and us not to get too distracted by our daily routine or our daily jobs. We're witnessing these things head on without any distractions, and it's becoming evident that there is an issue. And I think you have to be ignorant if you think differently. You have guys like Carson and Zach now speaking up and trying to understand our side a lot better. I just had a conversation with Carson and Zach yesterday. It's becoming, we're creating this dialogue within our own locker room. And that's what you want to see, willingness to listen, them educate themselves so they can go out and try to, help the next person be able to understand and change the mindset of a lot of non-African American individuals that just don't know. And I think that's what we're seeing, and it's important that we continue to have this that type of dialogue with our peers.
We have time for a couple more here, so we'll wrap it up with John and then Bo.
Hey, Rod. You mentioned the NBA a little bit and drastic measures and obviously postponing playoff games. And guys there were seriously considering leaving their bubble. Have you thought about that on a personal level, how your platform, basically playing versus not playing, how that would be and how that would potentially transform, obviously, something that's much bigger than sports?
Yeah, I have, but I think it only makes a real impact if all are included, and one person isn't going to make a difference. We have to all stand together, and that's all 32 teams potentially, doing something like that, or as a whole team or organization. But I think there are strength in numbers. One individual isn't going to make a true difference. So, uh, if that's something that needs to get done, I'm sure the leaders amongst the league and teams will talk about that. But I think the difference was it wasn't just the Milwaukee Bucks that decided to walk away. It was potentially all the playoff teams involved in the bubble really made the true impact that and attention, I guess that was needed during this time.
Go ahead, Bo.
Hey, Rodney, along those lines, in addition, as you're putting together this action plan, how much communication have you had with players on other teams around the league?
We haven't had any. I haven't had any personal conversations with anyone just yet. I think that may take place over the next few days, but it is something to consider. As we try to show some sort of unified effort to bring awareness to a lot of these cases. But for now, I think everyone's kind of working as one on their own personal team and organization. And, we'll see how this thing forms and grows in this upcoming week or two.
Thanks for taking the time today, Rodney.
I appreciate it, guys.